In today's video, we're going to be going over how to deploy an Azure Bastion service into your virtual network. A Bastion service in Azure basically will allow you to create a TLS connection, TLS RDP connection to your private virtual machines without having to expose them to the internet with public IP addresses. So basically, how that works is the Azure Bastion service will sit in its own subnet on your virtual network, and it will face the outside world instead of your VMs. And then from there, it protects you from any type of port scanning, RDP, SSH being exposed to the outside, or having to manage multiple network security groups on different VMs with different rule sets and things like that. So we're going to set this up to deploy a Bastion in your VNet. So you're going to need a virtual network setup, a resource group. So mine's called main network. You want to throw a virtual machine in there, just a simple Windows virtual machine, simple VNet. You don't have to change anything, but you want to take heed of the region that you're setting this up in, because you will need to put your Bastion in the same region. So if you go in through the virtual network and you select Bastion, and you try to do the configure manually, which we will be doing, I noticed in there that it doesn't, well, now it's actually showing it. So I was running into a problem where it wasn't showing me my virtual network, which I wanted to sit in. So I'm going to go ahead and name. So what we'll do is you want to make sure it's in the right resource group. We're going to go and just name this test VM Bastion. We want to make sure it's in the same region, and then we're going to increase this instance count to 3. So it's not going to matter in this video, but basically what this does is each Bastion host gives you, I believe it's about 25 concurrent RDP sessions at once. So if you have a very busy network, or a lot of people virtual or RDPing into virtual machines, then you want to be able to let this scale up. So that's why we set this up manually and not using the automatic way, which was the other option. So under VNet or virtual network, we'll want to select the virtual network that we have created. And then we're going to need to create a subnet. Now it must be named Azure Bastion subnet or it won't work. And the prefix needs to be at least a /26 or higher, so that it can manage the scaling that happens if this instance count goes up. So we're just going to go manage subnet configuration. I'm going to hit plus on the subnet there, and then we're going to add a new one. Like I said, it needs to be called Azure Bastion service. So we're going to call it Azure Bastion subnet. For the subnet address, let's go 10.02.0/24. So that's going to give us 251 IP addresses minus the 5 that Azure reserves by itself. We don't need to worry about any of this other stuff here. NAT gateway, network security groups, route tables, none of that. So, okay, now we got that set. And let's go back to let's create a Bastion here. And so now that we have the Bastion subnet set up in there, now we're going to need to create a public IP address. Now this is where we're going to configure the public IP address that the Bastion host resources will be accessed over, and it has to be in the same region as the Bastion resource we're creating. So we're going to go ahead and hit new. We're just going to leave it called main -1-IP, and let's do review and create. Now the only thing would be if you had an existing IP, but it just need to make sure it's in the same region. So then we're going to hit create there. Now, let's see, it says deployment. Okay, so now that this is deploying, it can take up to about 10 minutes for this to be created and deployed. So once this finishes, we'll come back and then test connecting to our VM. Okay, so we got the deployment completed, and that did take about 10 minutes, just to say the least. So now we're going to go ahead and try to connect to our virtual machine. So we're going to go to, just get out of here, and let's go to our VM. Let's see, we'll go back home to our main network resource group, our virtual machine here. And then you're going to hit connect. And then, oh, wait. So, yeah, we forgot to add, 1 second here. We need to port, not add an inbound network. Oh, yeah. So we need to add the security group real quick here. So let's open up another tab here. And we're going to go to, where are we at here? Networking. And once this keeps checking, oh, so we can't do it from here. Well, let's just go back to our, back home here, back into our resource group, our VNet, and let's create a service. We could find it through here. So network security group. So network security group, create, and let's just put it into our main network, and then RDP, Bastion, allow, and we're just gonna hit create. Let's give this a second. Okay, now we got the network security group created. Now we don't need to have this enabled, but we can actually control the level of access at the NIC level. So what we're going to do is we're going to come in here, and so this isn't required to have on the NIC, but we can come into the inbound security group rules, can hit add, and source can be, let's say, IP address is anything in the 10.2.0.0/24 range. Oh, some typos in there. One more zero. 10.2. Oh, all right. There we go. All right, so anything 10.0.0/24. Source port destination is going to be any, or it could be this, range here if we had specific servers, but we're just going to do any, and then RDP, allow, and then hit add. So now that we have the that set up in there for that range, we can then attach this to our VM's interface. So network interface, associate, and then example NIC, and then hit OK. So while that's saving, we can then go back to home, go into our virtual machine, which is the example machine here, hit connect, and we'll go to Bastion and use Bastion. And then for my username, it's admin user, and then my password that I had created in Terraform. Copy, paste, and then hit connect. So I'm using the browser-based session, And there we go. So now we have a full TLS connection to our host. And as you can see here, we have just the one IP address, which is our private connection. We can also get to this via our local RDP connection here if we needed to as well. But the great thing about it is you can then access these from any browser. You don't have to worry about saving any credentials anywhere. You can set up some VMs for people who need to access resources in your environment for a short period of time. So there's a lot of different use cases you can get out of this. Obviously, one is securing your network and being more resilient and keeping bad actors from trying to get in. So again, if you have any questions in regard to how this is set up or any other recommendations or things you've seen in the video today, leave me a comment down below. I'll be sure to get back with you. Again, thanks for tuning in. Hope to see you next time.